you say you were asked to prepare?
I was asked by Tom Feeney. He's now a congressman. At that time, he was Speaker of the House of Florida.
And he asked you to design a code to rig an election.
Yes.
While he was Speaker of the Florida House.
Yes.
He wanted the source code so that when the manipulation happened, you couldn't see it even if you saw the source code. This is to control the vote in South Florida. So I told Rhiannon, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. That'll get you in trouble. And so, with the bulk of finding out how dishonest Feeney and this company was, it was time for me to leave. So I quit and moved on.
I've been told that people who assume that a large fraction of the election result may have been affected by deliberate fraud in the computer are paranoid, because in order to do that, you have to have access to thousands of machines. To what extent is that true?
It depends on the technology you use. If you did a central tabulation machine that fed in, all you'd have to do is set a flag.
So one person putting in bad code in a central tabulation machine could affect thousands and thousands or tens of thousands of votes.
Right.
And your testimony is under oath?
Yes, sir.
And the testimony you've given is true?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Soon after he testified, Clint Curtis passed a lie detector test administered by the retired chief polygraph operator for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. If software to manipulate an election can be developed, has anyone proven that it can be installed and actually used on voting equipment?
There's new evidence tonight that computer hackers could change election results without anyone knowing about it.
The supervisor of election in Tallahassee tested voting machines several times over the last several months. Just Monday, his workers were able to hack into a voting machine and change the outcome.
The election protection group blackboxvoting.org worked with voting official Ion Sancho to conduct an experiment on the security of voting machines.
We did discover a potential security problem that exists which had not been disclosed by the vendor.
The big controversy revolves around this little black computer card, smaller than a floppy disk, bigger than a flash drive. The card is inserted into voting machines which scan paper ballots. When Leon County's supervisor of elections tested the Diebold system and allowed experts to manipulate the card electronically, he could change the outcome of a mock election without leaving any kind of trail.
Our tests also showed that if you audited or counted the paper ballots against the electronic totals, you could catch this vulnerability 100 times out of 100 times.
I've worked with a supervisor on a number of things, and I think the biggest battle was over the fact that he was being punished for having had his machines tested. The vendors were trying to deprive him of ADA compliant machines for his voters with disabilities as a way of punishing him for having the nerve to have his machines tested.
The security test that I did upset the voting machine vendors. I believe it's because for the first time a curtain had been pulled away and someone on my side of the line, an election official, had actually had the temerity to investigate the equipment which Leon County owned without actually having the vendor there to affect the tests.
People across Florida let their voices be heard and demanded that there be an antitrust investigation into why the vendors were denying Ion Sancho machines. It was that investigation which the public demanded that really helped our legal case. We won that battle.
In 2006, scientists from Princeton University replicated Ion Sancho's findings. They proved that it is possible for one person to insert fraudulent software on many Diebold machines with a single installation.
But how
technologically savvy do you have to be a hacker to do this? I mean,
You have to be able to write computer programs,
Yep.
Which a lot of people can do.
Sure.
You need to be able to open up this door on the side, which anybody can do, and that's about it.
Let's see how it works.
In advance, we prepare a memory card containing our malicious software. When we get a few minutes alone with the machine, we first open the side door. We remove any memory card that is already in the machine and insert our prepared memory card. We press the power button to boot the machine. We remove our memory card, replace any card that was there before, and close the door. Our malicious code is now installed on the machine. The total elapsed time is less than 1 minute.
The computer virus went and switched the votes inside the computer's memory. And when you see this result, what you see...
Hackers would have had to have done this before people voted. They would have had to have infected it with a virus, and then it skews the results.
Before Election Day?
Oh, my goodness.
Anytime before Election Day.
Security is so slack in the Diebold operation that when they printed a copy of their keys on their website, and it was on their website, scientists actually made copies of that key, and that one key will open every Diebold voting machine in the United States of America.
If a company like Diebold or ES&S came into American Express or one of the companies where I've worked and presented their software, and they said, we're not going to give you an independent audit mechanism. We have security mechanisms in our software, trust us, but they're so good, you can't see them. They're trade secrets. If they were so foolish as to present that in any bank or brokerage house in America, we'd laugh them out of the room. Not only that, we'd pick up the phone and call the FBI.
When is a glitch not a glitch? When are these malfunctions not malfunctions at all? We can't just think we voted and hope we voted. We have to know we voted. And under present circumstances, most people have no clue as to whether they voted or not.
It's little known that the Department of Homeland Security issued a security bulletin saying that a known vulnerability existed in this software. Were elections run in 2004 on equipment that was known by the Homeland Security to be vulnerable? Yes, they were.
There are more than 20 voting machine companies in the United States, often with overlapping ownership, financing, staff, and equipment. 2 of these companies electronically tally about 80% of the votes in our elections.
ES&S, Diebold, they design, program, service, repair, maintain, and have virtually exclusive proprietary control of the machines that count our votes.
Private companies have to take their software to other private companies and pay them for reports which tell them that their equipment works fine. And if they write reports which do not indicate the equipment is fine, they don't get the company's business. So this privatized process that we have supposedly set up to protect America's voters' votes, in my opinion, is a sham.
Unfortunately, the U.S. government has taken a completely hands-off approach to this issue.
And you have voting machine companies who are out just avidly and aggressively lobbying every public official who has anything to do with the process to get them to buy these machines.
When I came on board as the director of the Board of Elections, a representative of Diebold Corporation came here to my office, and in the course of the conversation, he pulled out his checkbook and said, you know, I'm here to write you a $10,000 check. Who do you want me to make it payable to? And I said, well, you're certainly not going to make the check payable to me. If you want to make a contribution to the County Republican Party, I'm sure they'd be grateful.